It is 3 a.m. The house is completely quiet. The world is asleep. But you are wide awake, staring at the ceiling, and your chest feels heavy. You cannot breathe deeply. Your heart is beating a little too fast. And then it hits you. The memory. It plays behind your eyelids, crystal clear. The business that went under and cost you everything. The relationship that ended in a bitter, painful way. The time you lost your temper and said something you cannot take back. The public mistake where everyone watched you fall. The exact moment you realized you were not as smart or as strong or as capable as you thought you were. Your brain plays a cruel trick on you. It decides that this is the exact moment you need to replay it. It zooms in on the faces of the people who judged you. It replays the exact words that were said. It makes you feel the exact same sick, dropping feeling in your stomach that you felt on that very day, months or even years ago. You toss and turn. You tell yourself to stop. You say, "It is in the past, I need to sleep, I need to move on." But the ghost will not leave you alone. You know exactly what this feels like. It is the heavy, crushing weight of a past failure that refuses to stay buried. It is the quiet sadness of living your life, while constantly looking in the rearview mirror, terrified that your biggest mistake defines the rest of your story. But what if I told you that you are carrying a weight that was never yours to carry? What if I told you that the ancient Stoics, the emperors, the slaves, the warriors who survived plagues, wars, exile, and absolute ruin, knew how to look their greatest failures dead in the eye and take away all their power? They did not use modern therapy words. They did not use positive affirmations. They used a simple, beautiful, and highly effective plan to ensure that their past mistakes never controlled their future. Today I am going to teach you the Stoic way to let go of past failure. Not by forgetting it in the sense of losing your memory, but by doing something much more powerful. You are going to kill the ghost. You are going to take the failure, drain it of its emotional poison, and turn it into the very fuel that builds your unbreakable future. By the end of this video, the 3 a.m. replays will stop, the shame will disappear, and you will finally be free. Let us begin. Step 1. Let go of what you cannot change. The first thing you must understand is why your brain tortures you with the past. We like to think that replaying our failures is a way to learn a lesson. But psychologically, it is actually a trick our survival brain plays on us. Your brain replays the failure because it is desperately trying to solve a problem. It thinks, if I just think about this enough, if I just replay the story 100 more times, maybe I can figure out how to change it. Maybe I can fix it. But here is the hard, freeing truth that Epictetus taught above all else. You cannot fix what is already gone. Epictetus, who was born a slave and had his leg permanently hurt by his master, divided the entire universe into two simple categories: things we can control and things we cannot control. Your thoughts, your actions, your choices in this exact second, those are up to you. The past is strictly, absolutely, 100% not up to you. When you lie awake at 3 a.m. worrying about a failure from 5 years ago, you are doing the one thing the Stoics warned against. You are trying to control something you cannot control. You are banging your head against a brick wall and wondering why you have a headache. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome, who made countless decisions that resulted in life and death, wrote this in his private journal. Time is a river, a wild current of events, seen once and carried past. Read that again. Seen once and carried past. The event is gone. It has flowed down the river of time and into the ocean of history. It no longer exists in the physical world. The only place it exists right now is inside your own mind, and you are keeping it alive by feeding it your attention. The first step to freeing yourself is to look at that memory and say, this is in the past. It is outside of my control. I let it go. You must ruthlessly cut the fake idea that your overthinking has any power over what has already happened. It does not. Let the dead past stay dead. Step 2. Stop punishing yourself twice now. let us talk about the pain. Because the failure itself hurts. Losing the money hurts. The breakup hurts. The embarrassment hurts. But the Stoics made a very important difference between pain and suffering. And understanding this difference is the key to your freedom. There is an ancient idea, heavily used by the Stoics, about the two arrows. When you fail, the event itself is the first arrow. It hits you. It causes sudden, sharp pain. If you lose your job, the first arrow is the loss of money and the shock of the change. If you mess up a speech, the first arrow is the immediate sting of embarrassment. You cannot avoid the first arrow. It is a part of being human. It is a part of taking risks in the world. But then you do something terrible to yourself. You reach into your bag, you pull out a second arrow, and you shoot yourself with it. The second arrow is your thoughts about the event. The second arrow is you saying, I am such an idiot. The second arrow is you saying, I will never be successful. The second arrow is you saying, everyone thinks I am a loser. Epictetus said, people are upset not by things, but by the thoughts they have about things. The failure did not ruin your life. Your thoughts about the failure are ruining your life. The first arrow is the event. The second arrow is your ego telling you that this event defines who you are. When you lie awake at 3 a.m., you are not feeling the first arrow anymore. The first arrow happened years ago. You are feeling the second arrow. You are repeatedly stabbing yourself with your own thoughts, your own shame, and your own harsh self-criticism. The Stoic way is to feel the first arrow, accept the pain, and then absolutely refuse to shoot the second arrow. You say to yourself, I failed at this task. That is a fact. But I am not a failure. That is just a thought. And I refuse to believe it. Stop shooting yourself. And drop the second arrow. Step 3. Zoom out. The view from above. When we fail, our ego shrinks our entire world down to the size of the mistake. The failure becomes the center of the universe. And everything else in your life gets swallowed by it. You feel like everyone is looking at you. You feel like the whole world knows what you did. You feel like this single moment is the most important chapter of your existence. This is a trick of the mind. And Marcus Aurelius had a specific mental exercise to destroy it. He called it the view from above. When you are crushing under the weight of a past failure, I want you to close your eyes and zoom out. Imagine you are floating above your body. You see yourself sitting in the room. Then zoom out further. You see your house, your street, your city. Zoom out further. You see the country, the curve of the earth, the thin blue line of the air. Zoom out further until you are looking at the earth from the silent, cold space. Now, zoom out in time. Look at the Roman Empire at its absolute peak, covering millions of square miles, with millions of people living, loving, failing, and dying. Where is it now? Dust. Look at the great generals who suffered humiliating defeats. Look at the brilliant merchants who went bankrupt. Look at the lovers whose hearts were broken. They are all gone. Their names are forgotten. Their empires are dust. Their failures are entirely erased by the non-stop march of time. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look back at the past with all its changing empires and you can see the future too. There is no difference. So, all the things of today are things of the past, and all the things of tomorrow will be things of the past. In 100 years, you will be dead. Everyone who judged you for your failure will be dead. The company you failed to build will be forgotten. The people who laughed at you will be forgotten. Does this sound sad? It is not. It is the most freeing truth in the universe. It shrinks your failure down to its actual, tiny size. It reminds you that you are a tiny speck of life on a small blue planet, spinning in an infinite universe. Your mistake is not a huge tragedy. It is just a small human stumble in the grand, beautiful, messy sweep of history. When you view your failure from the stars, it loses its power to scare you. It becomes small. And when it is small, you can finally pick it up, look at it, and put it down. Step 4. Love your fate. Amor Fati, we have let go of what we cannot control. We have stopped shooting the second arrow. We have shrunk the failure down to its proper size. Now we arrive at the ultimate Stoic superpower, the step that turns a normal person into an unbreakable force of nature. It is the concept of Amor Fati. A love of fate. Most people try to merely put up with their failures. They say, well, I guess I just have to accept that this happened. That is weak. That is just putting a band-aid on a deep cut. The Stoics did not just put up with their failures. They loved them. They embraced them. They used them. Why? Because the Stoics believed that the universe is not random. They believed that everything that happens is exactly what is needed to build your character. Think about the greatest, strongest, wisest people you know. Did they get that way by having an easy life? Did they get that way by never failing? No. They got that way because they were broken open. They got that way because they failed, and the failure forced them to look at their flaws, to change, to grow, and to become someone new. Your past failure was not a punishment. It was a test. It was the fire that burned away your pride, your innocence, or your bad habits. It was the universe violently correcting your path. If you had not failed, you would still be the exact same person who was destined to fail again on a much larger scale. The failure killed the old version of you, so that the new, stronger version of you could be born. Marcus Aurelius wrote the most famous line in Stoic philosophy. The roadblock in your path actually becomes the path. Your failure is not the opposite of your success. Your failure is the raw material of your success. When you change your thoughts from "why did this happen to me" to "what is this trying to teach me," the ghost dies, the shame disappears. Because you can no longer be ashamed of the very thing that made you who you are. You look at your past failure and you say, "Thank you. You hurt me. You humbled me. But you built me. I love you, because without you, I would not be strong enough to handle what is coming next." That is Amor Fati. That is how you conquer the past. Step 5. Take the next right step, finally. We must talk about the physical reality of the 3 a.m. loop. What do you do when the memory hits you in the middle of the night, or in the middle of the workday, and you feel the panic rising? You must remember that Stoicism is not just a philosophy of the mind. It is a philosophy of action. You cannot think your way out of a feeling. You must act your way out of it, Seneca said. We suffer more in our imagination than in reality. When you are overthinking a past failure, you are suffering in your imagination. You are living in a ghost world that does not exist. To break the spell, you must drag your mind back into the physical, present reality. You do this through immediate, simple action. When the ghost of the past failure whispers in your ear, you do not argue with it. You do not try to use logic on it. You simply say to it, "I hear you, but I am busy right now." And then you ask yourself one single, highly specific question. What is the next right step? Not, how do I fix my entire life? Not, how do I make up for the last 5 years? That is too big, and it will freeze you. Just ask, what is the next right step? Maybe the next right step is to get out of bed and drink a glass of water. Maybe it is to open your laptop and write one single sentence. Maybe it is to go for a walk around the block. Maybe it is to say sorry to someone. Whatever it is, you do it. You focus all of your intense Stoic discipline on that one tiny, immediate action. Action is the best cure for despair. Action pulls you out of the past and drops you into the present. When you are moving forward, the past cannot grab you by the ankles. The ghost cannot catch a moving target. Every time you take a small, careful step forward, you are voting for your future, and you are starving the ghost of your past. You are proving to your brain that you are not defined by what you did yesterday, but by what you are doing right now. The ultimate truth about failure, my friends, let me leave you with this final thought. You are carrying this past failure around because on some deep hidden level, you believe that punishing yourself is the right thing to do. You believe that if you just suffer enough over it, you will somehow balance the scales. You believe that your guilt is a measure of your character, but the Stoics would tell you that this is just pride. Yes, pride. Because by obsessing over your failure, you are making the event entirely about you. You are acting as if your mistake is the most important thing in the universe. You are putting your own ego at the center. True humility is realizing that you are flawed, that you will make mistakes, that you will fall short, and that the universe will keep spinning anyway. Forgiving yourself for your past failures is not about letting yourself off the hook. It is about taking responsibility for your present. You cannot help the world. You cannot help your family. You cannot build your destiny if you are constantly bleeding out from a wound that happened years ago. You must bandage the wound. You must learn the lesson. And then you must walk away. The next time the memory comes back, the next time your chest gets tight and the shame tries to pull you under, I want you to take a deep breath. I want you to look at that memory not as a monster, but as a teacher. Say to it, I see you. I accept what I did to myself, but you no longer own me. I am a Stoic. My mind is my own, my present is my own, and my future is unwritten. Then stand up, take a deep breath, and take the next right step. The past is a place to learn from, not a place to live in. You have learned the lesson. Now, it is time to live your life. If this video helped you finally put down the heavy weight you have been carrying, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Let me know in the comments. What is one lesson you learned from your biggest failure that actually made you stronger? I read every single comment. Until next time, stay grounded, stay moving forward, and stay untouchable.